What's going on, guys? Round8 Games here with the Lies of P demo. Thought I'd show this game off as it's one that I've been interested in since I saw the original release trailer. Thought it looked really atmospheric, really cool setting, quite Bloodborne-esque in a lot of ways. I have played through the demo once already and had a bit of an explore as well of the areas that you have access to in the demo. It is quite a short demo, but I just thought I'll show off everything that I found with the game and tell you sort of my thoughts on it. I do feel like it is a game that will either really click with you and you'll get on really well with it and really enjoy the combat, or you might not mesh too well with the combat and it won't be for you. So I do recommend playing through the demo yourself if you can. You can get it on Steam and you can also access it on the consoles as far as I'm aware. Yeah, really cool that they released a demo. I wish a lot more games did it. But yeah, let's get into it. Like I said, I have played through the demo before, so I'll just show off as much as I can with things that I've found and give a few thoughts on what I think of the game. Obviously, it's all there's potential that it all changes before release because it is quite a while until the game releases.
Can you hear me? Geppetto's puppet. We need your help.
Yeah, quite an ominous start, very similar to the start of Sekiro. And you do have to walk slowly here.
Ah, there you are. I've been looking all over for you.
And you're going to want to pick up this lamp on the side here.
I see they got Jiminy too, but we have to hurry. My name is Sophia. Please come to Hotel Krot, and I'll explain what's happening. Jiminy, please escort him to the hotel.
So, the lamp does sort of act as sort of like the hunter's lamp in Bloodborne, and the character Gemini will speak to you as well throughout the game, which is quite useful for some of the quests.
Let's get you out of there. Find something that might help.
So if we go forward here, you can see a few weapons on the table.
But the streets are not safe. Arm yourself with one of the weapons over there. It'll be helpful on your way to the hotel.
So here we basically have an option of our starting build. So the build on the left, the balance build, is sort of a quality build, evenly distributed stats in dexterity and strength, or what would be dexterity and strength. In the path in the middle, they have a saber type weapon. The path in the middle is the obvious dexterity build, and they have a rapier type weapon, similar to an S-stock in something like Dark Souls. And then you have the strength build on the right, and they have basically a big knife. First time I played through the demo, I did play through the strength build, and I've experimented with the other weapons as well. And I actually recommend picking the path of balance. But if you press the Y button or triangle button or whatever it is, you can actually see the stats. So if you look at the stats, vitality is your health, vigor is your stamina, capacity is your carrying weight, because there is a sort of build weight similar to Dark Souls. Motivity is basically like strength. Technique is dexterity, and then advance, I'm not totally sure what it is, but I'm I think it's related to weapons that do non-physical forms of damage, and also some of the special attacks that you have access to. So like I said, we're going to pick the what would be a quality build start. So that's Gemini, you can hear talking. Doesn't sound too well at the moment, but we'll hear more from him sort of throughout the demo. Really cool effect of using our mechanical arm on the left. So very typical Dark Souls controls. So if you notice there, the sort of shockwave and sound that played when we blocked, that means we got a perfect block, so we don't take any damage. Because you do take chip damage through your block, but I'll be able to show something off soon revolving around that.
Welcome to Crop Station, everyone. Here you will witness the most spectacular display of human endeavor on Earth. If Crop is your final destination, we wish you a safe and prosperous day.
Really cool environments. Almost reminds me a little bit of Bioshock Infinite in a lot of ways. But if you come over here, you'll be able to pick up a healing item, very similar to the Estus Flask. And something that's very interesting with this, and I think is a really good feature, is when you use all your healing items, you can then do damage to enemies, and it will slowly recharge. So it means that even if you're completely out of heals, maybe you're in a boss fight or just exploring, it's not completely hopeless, and if you play well, you can just keep surviving just with that sort of one heal that replenishes. So there's some more enemies over here, and you do have a running heavy attack. So if you notice, we took a bit of chip damage there through our block, and if you look at our health, similar to Bloodborne, there is like a rally system, but it's only damage that you take through your block. So if you're not blocking and you take damage, you can't regain that health back. But if you are blocking, then you can regain a portion of the health that you lost back. And if you look on the bottom right of the screen, there's a bar above our weapon icon, and that's actually our weapon durability. So the item that we've equipped on our left slot next to our lamp actually allows us to repair our weapon on the fly using our arm, which is pretty cool. I don't know if there's going to be more mechanics revolved around that later in the game. We're just going to switch over to our lamp quickly. Did take a little bit of damage there, but thankfully our heals repair about half our health. So again, we did take a little bit of damage through our block there, but we managed to regain it. But if you've noticed, as we've been attacking enemies, the blue bars beneath our health have been filling up, and that allows us to do special abilities with our weapon that you can see on the bottom right below the weapon durability bar. If you go into the weapon menu and then sort of switch the item display, you can see one of our abilities that uses 3 blue energy bars is slash an enemy in front of you multiple times, and that's dependent on the blades that we have on our weapon. And then the other ability that we have is dependent on the grip that we have on our weapon, and that increases attack temporarily. So that's just a little buff. I don't know how I feel about the weapon repair mechanic. I like the fact that you can repair weapons, but I don't, unless there's more mechanics revolving around it later in the game, I don't really feel like it adds much. As you can see, get backstab attacks for loads of damage. So I have a passenger's note here. So you will find these throughout the game, and they will give a little bit of backstory to some of the environments and some of the events going on. So this guy doesn't seem like he was too lucky. So you can sprint and jump as well. And as you can see, forgot about that guy. But yeah, as you can see, tends to be a lot of enemies lying in wait and ambush for you. But the game doesn't tend to throw too many enemies at you at once. So here we got a little bit of information about shortcuts. Similar to a lot of areas in Dark Souls, there's gates and stuff that you can open, and a lot of these gates you can only open from one side, and the side you can open it is shown by the little red light. And obviously it turns green when the gate opens, and that brings us back to this area. So we've got a bigger enemy over here, so I recommend keeping your weapon repaired as much as possible just before any fight. And if you noticed as well, we picked up another item, and that's a Fable charge. So this is a consumable item, and it allows you to refill the blue bars that are beneath our stamina that we use for weapon abilities. And yeah, they're consumable items, but they're found pretty much everywhere. I'll show off our arm as well. It's very similar to the weapon arm that you have in Sekiro, but it's got rather than having like spirit emblems that you use as ammo, it's just got a durability bar, and you can use it a certain number of times. But there's another item we can find that helps repair it, and means you can use your arm a lot more. So I'll show that off when we get to it. So if you notice here, his health bar had like a blue border around it, and if you do a power attack, you can then stagger them and go in for a critical attack. So it's very similar to Sekiro in that way, that enemies have a posture, and when it's near to being broken, you can do a heavy attack. Then that then staggers them, and then you can go in for the critical attack. So it's a little bit more complicated in some ways than it is in Sekiro. So that sawtooth wheel is basically like a pebble that you get in Bloodborne, that you can use to distract enemies and lure them over. So there's thermite, which is basically like a Molotov cocktail. There's the sawtooth wheel. Then we got a different defense item. Show that off in a sec. And then a key to get out of here. So down here are different defense parts. They're basically like your armor parts. And this one you can see it does weigh a little bit more, but it also has a lot more physical damage reduction. So the arrow next to the number on the left is the stat, and the number on the right is how much it changes by in comparison to the item that you have equipped. So that's quite nice. Makes it very easy to compare weapons and other pieces of equipment. So now we've got that key, we can make our way up here. Now you can see I've only got one heal left, and I've got maybe a third of health missing. So I find it makes a lot more sense to use your last heal, because you can get that last heal back, and the sooner you use your heal, the quicker you can work on recharging that last heal. So this is our first sort of bigger open area. The levels are quite linear, but there are several paths that you can sort of explore and little alleyways you can go down. I'll interact with this in a second, but I'll just show off the heal being able to be recharged. So you can see it fills up with a sort of purple glow, and when that gets to the top you'll get that last heal back. I'll quickly show off our arm as well. You can charge it, it's basically just a straightforward punch, or you can use it much more quickly. And the ergo fragments are basically like consumable soul items in the Dark Souls games. As you can probably tell or guess, the stargazers act as our bonfires, and when you use them, recovers all your health and it respawns the enemies.
This is called a stargazer. A marvelous device the stalkers used in the past.
Public door source needs danger estimates. Please reduce puzzle numbers or reset danger parameters.
As we are not strong enough to beat the puppets. But if I lent my power to this stargazer for a moment. Gather ergo, clever one. This stargazer will make you stronger. But the stargazer's strength doesn't last forever, so be careful with it. Hurry up and come to Hotel Krat.
So by the stargazer's strength doesn't last forever, all it seems that means is that you can only level up at this stargazer, and then later on you have to visit that NPC that's been talking to us in order to level up. But you can fast travel to her from any stargazer. The dogs are a little bit unpredictable, I found. Yeah, similar to a lot of other games. So that double slash we did was just a charged heavy attack. As you can see, we're getting more favourable catalysts which help us recharge our blue bars. So you got another note here. So you can see things aren't looking too great in this city. It does seem like it's quite easy to sneak up to a lot of enemies for those critical attacks. So I'll just show off our damage improvement that we've got on our handle ability. Now there aren't any plunging attacks in this game, so it's not like I could have run forward and jumped down to attack him. But they go down with not too many problems. Anyway, but you can see the buff didn't last very long. And there's the little symbol on the top left when you do have a buff active. Again, very similar to typical Souls-like affairs. Normally there's a little bit more dialogue, so I'm not quite sure why that's not playing. We will come around and get this item in a second. So here it's just a little bit about Fable Arts. So it's basically telling you how there's a blade Fable Art and a handle Fable Art that you use while blocking. There's a slightly bigger enemy here. So when they glow red like that, that's a fury attack. Not doing too well. But yeah, a fury attack can only be blocked if you get a perfect block. You can't sort of withstand it. You often get staggered heavily if you don't do a perfect block, and you can't dodge through it either. So it's similar like a perilous attack in Sekiro in a lot of ways.
Destination Hotel Quads. Optimal location for observing the destination.
So you can see Gemini sort of pops up every now and then with a little bit of dialogue, but it's not intrusive in any way really. It does tend to help quite a bit with some of the quests in the game, which is quite handy. This is where I think the game does sort of fall apart a little bit. It can be quite difficult when facing multiple enemies, but thankfully we managed to time that pretty well to take all the enemies out with our special blade Fable ability. So you can see we've already got our first heal back as well. Going to use that quick so we can work on getting our second heal or next heal back. So here's the item that I just pointed out when we were outside a second ago. Sure where he came from. But you can see this starting area is relatively easy. Not too many enemies to worry about. Just making sure we get good grips with the game. Then here's a shortcut. If you try using the other side of the door, there isn't a light and there tends to be exposed wires, and it gives you an electric shock. It doesn't do any damage, but it gives you a little shock, so you know that you need to go around the other side of the door. But the fact that there isn't a light there means it's quite handy just to know at a glance that you have to work your way around, and it's a shortcut for future. So we've got quite a lot of let's say souls. So just upgrade our stats a little bit. Not quite sure why we didn't block there. We have got a boss coming up, so I'm trying to make sure that our health is as full as possible before getting there. Now you can run past a lot of the enemies, but I want to try and make sure we have as much of the blue fable resource as possible before entering the boss room. We absolutely got wrecked there. Not quite sure why I wasn't blocking, I was pressing the button. Now in typical Souls fashion, drop your resources when you die. Interestingly, you also get some of your fable back, which is quite handy. So here's the shortcut we unlocked. One thing that's a little bit weird about the lamp is that it doesn't seem to emanate light from you, it just sort of makes the game brighter.
A parade puppet is blocking the entrance, and that's the only way in. So please, be careful.
There's this sort of training dummy here. He doesn't do any damage and you can't kill him, but it's just a little bit of practice, something to practice on before entering the boss battle.
Hello there! Welcome to Krot, visitor. I didn't think there were any stalkers left to fight the puppets. You didn't hear? Figures. The whole organization fell apart. All that's left are wannabes and amateurs who think they can fight on their own. You ought to buy something while you're at the festival. You can't rely on yourself alone. Out here alone?
So here you can buy the other starting weapons. So I'll do that quickly, just in case I want to show them off later on in the walkthrough. So here you have a little bit of information about the upcoming boss battle, which is pretty cool. Really cool animation to open the door. So you can also trigger a stagger state by using your weapon arts, and when the boss gets to half health, he'll do a phase 2 transition. So unfortunately we died, but it does let me show off a really good quality of life feature with this game, is that if you die in a boss battle arena, your resources are dropped outside the arena, so you don't have to go in and grab them every time you defeat the boss, every time you go to defeat the boss. So I'll run over there quickly and I'll meet you back there when we get to the boss. So as you can see, our resources are dropped outside the boss arena, and yeah, we'll give this guy another go. Hopefully it goes a bit better this time. Managed to take him down with a couple of those heavy critical attacks. And something that you might notice is, unfortunately, the item drops and item drop info doesn't last very long, which is one thing that I hope they change from the full release of the game. But you can see we got an item that's to do with upgrading our heart later on in the game. We do get to see that in the demo, which is quite cool that they show it off to sort of allude to some more of the depth that the game has. And we got basically a boss soul item, and it does say a treasure hunter may want this rare ergo, so I assume there will be boss soul weapons. But now we've defeated that first boss, that will end this episode. I will end this episode here, and next episode we'll move further on through the demo obviously and get to Hotel Crap. And yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about what I think of the game and things that I like about it, things that I don't like about it. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this first part. It was quite slow, just wanted to show everything off. and talk about some of the mechanics in the game. But now we've got the hang of the basics, move on to the rest of the demo quite swiftly. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this first part, and I hope to catch you guys in the next episode. Thank you for watching.